All right, welcome back to the To Be Better podcast. We are the Chris's. We do question and answers, emails, and sometimes we simply talk shit. But first, a disclaimer.
We are not professionals.
No.
Everything that we speak on is opinions derived from experiences and outside knowledge we've gotten from other resources.
Mm-hmm.
If you get any value or something we said resonates with you, share this.
Yes, that's how we grow.
And if you're not subscribed, why not?
Yeah, that's a good question.
If you're not subscribed, you're going to miss out on this whole experience. That's the Chris's.
That is the Chris's.
Please leave a comment. Your comments are actually super dope to read. Knowing how that we've impacted you or your relationship, it just helps us continue to do what we're doing, and it shows that what we say works sometimes. And to submit a question or just to email us and say how we've helped or maybe constructive criticism, email us at tobebetterco@gmail.com.
The number 2.
The number 2. Emails will be read anonymously on this podcast, unless specified otherwise by the sender. So if you don't want us to put your story out there, tell us that.
Correct.
If you're going to send emails, please be as detailed as possible. If you give us a one-sided email about how your partner is the problem, that is all we will address.
Yeah, you will get a one-sided reply.
Yes. Nobody is perfect. Take accountability. Everybody can grow.
Whew, preach.
And we are giving unbiased, honest opinions. We are not yes men. So if you submit something to us, be prepared for an answer that you might not like getting. But we are going to give you a very honest, outside perspective.
Is that the full disclaimer?
Yeah.
Now to the episode. All right, guys, welcome back to the show. We are still doing emails, giving you guys daily content is what we're aiming for at this point.
So this one is totally different than what we've covered in anything. Well, I mean, we did have that one where we just bullshitted about our day, and I had a lot of fun.
But people enjoyed that. People were like, let's do more of those.
That's crazy. I felt so silly in that.
Yeah. It felt like we were just talking to talk.
Right. So this woman has been going back and forth with us over multiple emails. And she emailed us this morning. This is the one that's freshest in my brain. She was talking about weight loss. And we both used to be over 300 pounds.
Yep.
My highest weight was 320 pounds. And, I went from 320 and my lowest weight was 179. I'm at 185 now because of Christmas and I feel really gross, but so I had loose skin. And she asked, with the weight loss, how did both of us deal with the extra skin? And I felt like that would be a good topic to touch on. But then from there, I kind of just want to talk about like, how did we deal with the weight loss and what did we keep telling ourselves to keep going? Because weight loss is not easy. Mm. There were multiple times where I was like, I can sit here and have this chicken and rice for dinner, or I can order Pizza Hut. And ordering Pizza Hut's so easy. I don't even have to call anybody anymore.
Right. Yeah, you just do it all from your phone and hit enter. Yeah, we actually should talk about that because I got a comment today about somebody that asked about binge eating and about how they're dealing with their weight loss and how they can't stay on a diet, and said that they did keto for a while. So I guess maybe we should talk about that a little bit. The problem with that, and I need to specify right now, is that even though I am a certified personal trainer, I'm not a dietitian.
Right.
So though I understand nutrition to the way that I understand nutrition and I know what works for you and it may not work for you. So anything that I say here is not meant to cure, treat, or diagnose any type of shit. I'm not a fucking doctor, and if you're going to do anything, consult your physician first. Don't sue me because you were warned. I'm very leery about.
I know it's something that's needed because you can sue anybody for anything nowadays.
So with that being said, let's get into that email first, and then we'll talk macros and shit.
So she goes, with all the weight loss, how did you both deal with the extra skin? I've gone from 355 to 199.
Oh wow,
good for you. Like
it's 200 pounds.
Damn near almost 200 pounds. Yeah. 44 pounds away from 200. And she has skin. And she said, I know it's not really a couple's advice question, but I was just wondering what you both have done and how you coped.
I got real lucky in that I didn't lose my weight super, super fast. And I was taking a lot of supplements and my skin just retracted naturally. I do have some skin, but it's not bad.
Right.
I also didn't get big quick. Like it took me a long time to gain my weight, and it came off. Even though it came off fast, I lost almost 100 pounds in like 8 months. My skin retracted fairly nicely. I didn't have to worry about that. But I was also gaining muscle, so like there's not like a lot of sagginess there. Magnesium. There's a lot of supplements that you can take, but you would have had to have been taking them when you started your weight loss to kind of help with your skin's elasticity. And then obviously there's super supplements that you can get into too if you're into that. But I don't know enough about that to really talk on it. So
right. So with the loose skin, I actually had a fair bit of loose skin for my weight loss. I also had like fat collected in certain areas, and I still have loose skin on my thighs, which bothers me a little bit. It just looks like loose chicken skin sometimes.
Is that something you'd be willing to get surgery over?
My thighs?
Could you imagine having to heal that the way that you had to heal your stomach? Because you walk on them legs.
Right, I do walk on these legs.
Them Chevrolet legs.
I hate that that tickled me the way it did. Oh, that was so stupid, but it was so funny. I think it's because I wasn't expecting you to say it.
That's what you tell people when they don't have
That
gas
was
money,
good.
to use them Chevrolet legs. Drive around on them Lambro Feeties.
Is that a thing that people really say?
I've said it.
I love that. I am so not well versed in a lot of things of society.
That's funny.
I don't remember what I was saying.
What are you talking about, loose skin?
Oh yeah, loose skin my thighs. Would I get surgery on that? Maybe. I would have to like very well. I don't know. I couldn't go without working out like that again.
Yeah.
That was really hard for me.
Oh, I bet.
Like, I did not think getting back into the gym after not going for 6 weeks was going to be as hard as it was, especially mentally. Because like I was so ready to just start feeling good about myself again. But realizing how much muscle mass I lost in that 6 weeks and struggling at the beginning. Oh,
Yeah, that was a
hard.
struggle for you. I don't think I would be able to do it either, because even when I tore my pec, because I ripped my pec, for those of you who don't know, I detached it from my humerus.
Not fully.
It's
But
25%
yeah.
of it came off.
But it
And-
was detached.
And it was enough that they were suggesting surgery. And the doctor that I went to was like, look, if you can just lay off of it and not do the surgery, that would be best. And in the event that it rips the rest of the way off, then get surgery. And I'm like, okay, fine. But I had to go real easy for like 8 weeks. And my entire training style has changed. And I put on weight again. Like, I'm not going to the same intensity as I was, because there are certain exercises that hurt. And I'm afraid that if it hurts, it's going to rip.
Right.
So there's a mental aspect in it. But the changes in who I am as a person over the last 8 weeks from the way I was training to the way that I'm training now is substantial. So I couldn't imagine actually having to take the full 6 weeks off, because I don't think I would be able to get back into it. It would be
Right.
very difficult for me to start lifting again.
So the loose skin that I had on my stomach, it was noticeable. Like I wore a lot of baggy shirts because, so I also had 2 C-sections. So on top of having the loose skin, I had 2 C-sections where they cut through that muscle, so I could never work that spot. So I had fatty deposits collected right over my pelvis, and then it would go flat, and then I had loose skin for my stomach. It was, oh God, it was so noticeable. Like I would wear dresses, and that's all I would focus on in the dresses was my stomach and my pelvic area. And one thing that got me to cope with it was me realizing like I did that damage to myself.
Right.
I was a really bad binge eater. Like I would order a large pizza from Pizza Hut, stuffed crust pizza. I would get chicken nuggets and french fries from McDonald's, put that on top of the pizza and eat that.
Wow.
And then probably an hour later, I would go get a bunch of food from Taco Bell and then maybe Burger King and then eat all of that. And then I would also eat at night. Like if I woke up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I would make myself something to eat.
Wow.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was that bad.
I was bad. It would get to the point I would eat so much I would throw up, and then I would continue eating because I like the taste of the food.
See, I understand the eating for flavor, because I will eat past being full still. But I'm also one of those people that were told to eat everything on your plate. So if somebody ever made me a plate for something and it was too much food, I was eating it regardless. I was also told you don't throw your food away. So
Right.
like in the event that you don't eat all your dinner and I'm sitting there, I'm eating that shit too. Like, so my portion control has always been a problem. And when I'm powerlifting and I'm lifting like I was 8 weeks ago, that shit doesn't matter because it's fuel. But when I slow down and have to change the way that I'm training or I'm not doing cardio, I have to dial the food back. And that's where I struggle, because I like to eat.
Right.
I just I genuinely like food. So, and I'm also one of those people that I don't really crave sugars, but in the event that it's there and I taste it, once I taste it, it's game
Oh,
over.
yeah.
Like I can put down an entire pan of brownies in like 6 hours.
eat like 12 donuts.
Yeah. Donuts too. Donuts are really bad, especially like warm Krispy Kreme donuts. It's game over. But I don't crave that shit. Like it's not one of those things where I'm ever like, oh, hey, let's get brownies. Like that's never a thing. It's just when it's there and then it's go time.
That's a constant thing for me.
It's weird. I feel like that about cheeseburgers, because I fucking love cheeseburgers. And if we go like anybody that lives near Vegas or has ever gone to Vegas or is planning on going to Vegas, there's a burger place in the Cosmopolitan called Holstein's, and they do burgers and shakes and alcoholic shakes and things like that. They have the best fucking cheeseburgers I've ever had in my life. So when I go to Vegas and we stay at the Cosmopolitan, I eat a cheeseburger from that place every single day. And it's like the entire calorie count is just in the burger. So when I leave Vegas, I'm like 25 pounds heavier than when I went out there, and all my clothes are fitting like fat man in a little coat, and I look like Buddha. It's so bad.
But that sounds so good to eat.
Yeah, but the problem is like, hey, what do you want for breakfast? Oh, a breakfast burrito from Henry's in the Cosmopolitan. Let's do that. Okay, now let's go get a burger from the Holstein's place. Like,
Right.
it is bad, and there's it's impulse control on my part, because I know that I shouldn't be eating it, but I also know that I can lose the weight again.
Right.
The problem is when I have to start dieting and doing cardio and training the way that I'm training to lose the weight, I'm fucking miserable. But because I know it's possible and I know I can do it, I just do it,
Right.
you know? So it's a vicious cycle for me. It would be much better if I took my portions down to like 12 or 1300 calories a day and just kept them there, definitely, and continue training. I would be physically fit all year round, but I don't do that.
That sounds miserable.
It's really not that bad as long as I plan out my meals. And when we're meal prepping and I know like my macros down to a science, it's real easy to hit my macros and just stay in that meal plan for the day.
Right.
When I get extra hungry, I drink extra water. I take some extra caffeine to try to curb that a little bit, but
Right. So with how I would eat and how big I got, this is just turning into a story time.
that's fine.
But I feel like I need to elaborate
Right.
in order to get to the point where I can talk about how I accepted all of this shit.
Okay.
So I ate the way that I ate. I got up to 320 pounds. At that point, I had 2 kids. I was severely depressed. And I went to take a bath. I was like, I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to take a bath. I was living in a loft apartment. It was tiny. I went to sit into the bathtub and I couldn't fit in the tub. And I was like, damn. I always thought like at 250, I was like, okay, my weight's getting out of control. When I hit 280, I need to stop. Then I hit 280. I'm like, well, I'm not 300. And then I hit 300 and I was like, okay. And then I hit 320. I was like, so nothing.
You just kept moving that number.
Right. And I sat in that tub and I was like, okay, like now this is a fucking problem.
Right.
And, you know, I started counting calories and I started running. And as I was losing the weight, I was feeling really good about myself. And in the back of my mind, I knew when I started losing weight, I was going to have loose skin.
Right.
And it got to the point to where like the loose skin was becoming super noticeable. And I was feeling like shit about myself. And that's where that point of acceptance and accountability came in. Was I was using food as a crutch. I still do at times. Like I want to so bad. Like when I'm having a bad day, I just want to face fuck a bunch of food. But it's that point of, do I want to get back to there, or do I like being healthy and be able to run with my kids?
Right.
But with that loose skin, I had moments where I was like, I did this to myself. If I would have said, instead of eating, I'm going to try to journal.
Right.
Or instead of eating, I'm going to play a video game. Like you have options in your life. And accepting that I did that to myself and I had that loose skin, it was kind of like a trophy for me. Like I got up to that point, and the fat activists nowadays
Right.
blows my mind.
The body acceptance shit.
It's
that what you're talking about?
no, it's the health at every size that really pisses me off. Not that fat acceptance. I can accept your fat. If you're fat and happy and you're living your best life, like go you. You being fat does not affect me.
Right.
But when people are like, you are 300 pounds and you're as healthy as somebody who's 120 and lifts weights, you're not.
No, you're not.
And I will die on that hill because I was over 300 pounds. And the way that I am now versus how I was then is not even comparable. I can pick up my kids and carry both of them now up a flight of stairs and not get winded.
Right.
I would climb up a flight of stairs by myself at my highest weight, and I would have to pause to catch my breath.
That whole you can be healthy at any size thing is a way to make us weak, lazy, and complacent as a culture. Because as they continue to implement control policies and continue to take away our liberties, the sicker and weaker we are, the less likely we are to fight them.
Right.
And I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I believe that. I believe that there's an agenda behind every fucking movement, every organization. It's all political and it's all about control.
Right.
And, personal excellence, financial freedom, physical health, all of that plays into all of that. The more physically fit you are, the more money you make, the more steadfast you are, like the better we can be to stop the shit that's coming. So for me, that's one of the reasons why I was so adamant about not being 300 pounds anymore.
Right.
And though I'm out of shape right now because I haven't been doing cardio. I do find myself getting winded. In the event that I had to run, I could.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
I don't remember where I was going with all of that.
You were giving.
I got angry.
You were giving your story about the not fitting in the tub, but you had also mentioned the carrying your kids up a flight of stairs. Now, there was a story that you had told on one of the podcasts about a fire alarm going off in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah.
You want to touch on that one before you continue your email?
So, the fire alarm went off. It was probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And woke up, didn't know what the fuck was going on. And then it registered. Like I thought the alarms in my apartment was going off, like the batteries or whatever. And then I realized that it was the alarm on the wall was flashing. And I was like, fuck, I need to get the kids out of here. So I picked up both of the kids and I was running down the flight of stairs and I was struggling.
Yeah.
Like I am the only one here with my kids. Like at that point, the person I was with was working that night. If there was an actual fire and I had to save my children's life at that weight, I could not definitively say, yes, I can save my children.
Right.
I was on the 3rd story. Like, I was carrying 2 kids. Combined, they were maybe 70 pounds. My 320-pound ass going down 3 flights of stairs with other people running. Like, I was not agile. I was struggling hard. I was worried about dropping them or like... my daughter was a lot lighter than my son. Like, if it got down to the point, like, could I carry both of them? Would I drop one? Could I go back in and get him? Like,
yeah, that's a lot of fucking questions to be asking yourself in an emergency. It really is. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah, it was pure panic. And the moment I realized that because of my weight, one or more of my children could die in an emergency situation because I am not fit enough to save them, that was a fucking problem for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you've given your story.
Yeah.
Do you remember why you wanted to give your story?
So I do.
Okay.
So in accepting that I am the reason that I got the loose skin and acknowledging that I got up to that weight, but I also made the choice and dedicated myself to losing it. Yes, it showed that I had a moment of weakness in my life, but it also showed that I grew as a person. I dedicated myself to becoming healthy. And when I started working on my physical health, my mental health improved so much. Like I suffer from depression. It's actually severe depression and severe anxiety and severe PTSD. And why'd you make that face?
I didn't make a face.
Okay. And I still have, weeks or months where I wake up and my first thought would be suicide. Like I know that's my depression at this point. I'm not feeding into that anymore. But when I was at my highest weight, I was fat. I was always tired. My energy was always low. All I had in my life that made me happy was food. Topped on top of my depression. Like I was miserable for a whole other host of reasons in my life that were of my own doing. I don't know how to explain the sense of freedom I got from losing that weight.
Yeah. Can we talk about how important it was that you did it in your 20s? And how much easier it was doing it in your 20s than it would have been if you were in your 30s or your 40s.
Yeah.
Because as you age, your metabolism changes. It slows down. You're not as active. In terms of life expectancy, we are expected to live until 80 now. 200 years ago or 100 years ago, it was 40, right? So, we have I guess maybe 100 years ago it wasn't in the 40, but, it was such a different life expectancy. So our bodies didn't need to perform past 40 and 50 years old. And now with medicine and the way things are changing and the threat that, everything is readily accessible, we're not, running for our lives through jungles and shit anymore. Our bodies are trying to adapt to the new lifestyles and the food-like products and the poison that we're putting in ourselves. And it's very different. But had you waited until you were in your 30s or 40s, it would have been a lot harder.
Right.
This last run of weight loss was the hardest for me. I did this in my 30s, like early 30s. I lost a bunch of weight. I went from like 312 to like 202. It was the smallest I'd ever been since middle school. And I was fucking in shape, veiny, the whole nine. I had the V-cut. But it was very easy. I was just doing 45 minutes of cardio a day on top of my normal weightlifting and then my dieting or my, my food plan. But I was eating 8 meals a day. So it's not like I was starving myself. I was eating so much that within an hour or two of my meal, I was hungry again. My metabolism was on fire. I was getting it. This last time was not the case. Like I was not hungry at all. And I had to force myself to eat and force myself to do the cardio. And unless we were going to the park to actually do the cardio, I would have to get on the treadmill and watch a movie, and like I would actually have to be into the show because I just didn't want to do it anymore.
Right.
It was hard. My knees hurt. My back hurt. Like, fucking 40 years old now. Being 30 and 20 is a very different game. So I'm glad that you did it while you were young. And now that you know that you've lived that experience, you don't want to get that big again.
Fuck no.
And we hold each other accountable in that. Like I had that big ass chimichanga from Tijuana Flats right before we sat down. And I was like, babe, I'm getting fat. I can see my belly through my t-shirt. And you're like, you just ate a giant fucking burrito. What do you expect? I'm like, you're right. Let's go podcast. But I know that I probably won't eat anything else heavy for the rest of the day. I'll probably go to bed with a very small dinner because I just ate a 2,000 calorie chimichanga and I know better. But I also know tomorrow we're going to go for a walk through a natural park taking pictures and do our weightlifting. So like it's a balance for me.
Are we weightlifting in the morning or in the evening?
It'll probably be at night. Okay. I don't think that we're going to train in the morning. I want to get up early and drive. Okay. I don't want to be on the road at noon.
Right.
1, 2, 3, go.
You have anything you want to add?
No, because we haven't really even gotten into that. We were just talking about our own personal
that was the email.
Fat loss stories. Oh, that was it?
Yeah. Asking how we dealt with loose skin.
I got lucky and stayed on top of my collagen and magnesium and I have an entire cabinet in there full of shit that I take every single day. Although I've kind of been slacking on it the last 3 or 4 days because of the depression and the stress. But it's funny because like December was go time for me to get back on the diet real hard.
Yeah.
And I was great until Christmas. And I was like, fuck it.
I feel the same way though. Like I made that pie and that pie just destroyed it for me. Like that. Oh my God. Kickstarted my sugar tooth.
It's so funny because I don't have a sweet tooth like that. Like I actually, I like First Form Nutrition. I love their energy drinks. They're not over carbonated. They're a little expensive and you got to order them from their website. They're not really in stores, but I buy them from their websites.
Right.
Their protein bars are delicious to me. I will even, I got to be honest, I kind of enjoy the Quest bars too. So like for me to eat a protein bar is not a big deal.
It's like eating candy.
For me it is because I don't really eat sweets very often. But then if I was to eat like a Hershey bar and then try to eat one of those protein bars, but this is fucking gross. But because I don't eat it very often, those taste good to me. Those are my snacks.
Right.
I do want to get back into a normal eating, like not a meal plan. I don't want to do chicken and fish and diet like that ever again. But I do want to get my portions and shit back under control because I don't want to ever get big again. And I feel like if I stay where I'm at right now, which is between 215 and 220 consistently, and I do decide to diet again, restricting my calories and doing the cardio and shit, like my body will respond real well because it's become accustomed to being at this size. I'm holding my weight now longer than I've ever held my weight. Normally when I diet down this low, I get big as fuck again because I start eating to try to put on muscle. And I end up looking like Grimace.
I'm so sorry. I just had a whole thought while you were speaking. I was like, Christina, keep it under control. Keep it under control. Like he's finishing his thought. Wait till he's done. I'm so sorry. I wasn't laughing at you.
Okay, well, what was your thought so that I can laugh with you?
So you were talking about like over Christmas gaining weight. You don't want to do that again and whatnot. I am so fearful of gaining weight. Like I went from 179 to 185. That's a 6 pound weight gain. Is that anything? No. In the grand scheme of what I've lost, 6 pounds is nothing, but I'm panicking about it, right? And it's unhealthy for me to panic about it. I have it under control. It's just like, but I was sitting over here and I was like, yeah, like I have this chunk here, right? And it bothers me, but I was like, that's really minimal.
Right.
You know, like when you really sit back, like people who think that they're fat and they're not fat, like it's really minimal when you think about it. And I was like, yeah, I feel like I look bad, but then again, like he hits this, so it can't be that bad.
Stop it. Okay, so let's talk about macros because somebody mentioned the binge eating thing and said that when they dieted, she said she eats 800 calories a day. Stop that.
800 calories.
It's starvation.
A day?
You're starving yourself at 800 calories.
What are you
a
eating?
day.
Cabbage and
There's
no meat there.
I mean, it could be, but it could be only proteins, but it could be small portions. 800 calories is not a lot.
That's really not.
So you need to figure out your lean body mass, and then you need to figure out your macros based off of that. If you're not weight training, and if you're a guy or a girl, your protein needs are going to change. But as a rule of thumb for anyone who's listening, if I was to say for somebody that is a female that's binge eating and you're trying to get your calories where they need to be, I would do a body scan to find out what your lean body mass is. And I would do, holy shit, look at those goosebumps.
What?
I just saw goosebumps all over your arm. They're gone now, but your whole arm was like,
Because I was thinking about you.
stop it. I would do 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of lean body weight. I would keep your carbs around 0.35 and your fats around 0.2, and then try to get your calories based off of your macronutrient needs around 1,200, 1,300, depending on your body weight, and then do that for a month. See what's happening with your body weight. If you're not losing weight, then you need to change your diet. But you need to remember that it didn't gain overnight. Like you didn't get fat overnight. If you're obese or you're morbidly obese, it took time to get that big, and it came from overeating. So, get to the point where you have a structure, and then you can add or subtract as needed. And sometimes subtraction is not the way to go. If you're used to eating 4,000 calories a day and you drop down to 1,200, you're going to lose a lot of weight real fast because your body's going, okay, we're not eating like the way we should. We're going to pull from our fat stores and you're going to burn that off.
Right. It goes into starvation mode.
Right. It's also important to remember when you're doing that a calorie is not a calorie. It is all it's calories are calories in versus calories out, all that bullshit. But the macronutrients that you eat they're not made equally. If you eat a piece of bread versus oats, you're going to get less sugar from the oats than you do from the bread. Sweet potatoes are better than white potatoes. I mean, potato's still a potato, but a sweet potato is going to give you a lower glycemic count. Basmati rice is going to give you a lower glycemic than white rice. So when you look at and you understand the food that you're eating, things that are lower on the glycemic index that are not as sugary for your carb sources that are still going to fill you up. Obviously, you don't want to drink soda. You want to eat if you get 100 grams of carbs a day, you want to get it from food, rice, potatoes, things like that.
Don't drink your calories.
Right. And you need to keep a log. So that's what I was going to get at for the person who binge eats. You need to write down everything that you put in your gullet. So if you get hungry and you want to eat a handful of M&Ms, get on My Fitness Tracker or whatever, and then log it 6 M&Ms and see how many calories are there and write that down.
So for my weight loss, I just want to interject real quick. I used an app called Lose It.
Yeah.
I didn't even pay for the premium, but you can scan almost anything and you can swap it to like one serving, or if it's like M&Ms, you can put in individual M&M pieces that you're eating and it's going to give you the calorie count for it and the macros.
Right. The one that I used was MyFitnessPal. And it's the same thing. You can scan it and log it. You can create your own meals, but you log everything that you eat. And then at the end of the night, you'll see if you have a surplus of calories available or if you're over. And if you're over, you can look at what you ate for the day and be okay, I need to remove these 3 things to hit my calorie count for the day. It's no different than when you start going to the gym and logging your workouts.
Right.
So like if I go on there and train back, on Monday is back day for me. If I go in there Monday and I train, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm sore, I know I did something right because I don't ever get sore from my workouts anymore. Then I have to go back to my journal and be like, okay, what did I do differently this week than last week? Oh, I see why I'm sore. I went up 80 pounds on this movement. So now I know that I can handle that weight. I need to continue doing that. Muscle growth is progressive overload, whether it's through reps, weight lifted, or time training. And there's a lot of metrics that you can use to measure all of that stuff. But when it comes down to what they're specifically asking is binge eating, I would use a fitness tracking app to track your macros and stay 12 to 1,500 calories for a month and see where your weight goes. If you lose 15 or 20 pounds in a month, you're on a good path. They say that, if you can lose a pound a day of actual body fat, you're doing really well. Realistically, they say that healthy weight loss is 2 pounds a week. You could do better than that.
Right.
Also, you don't want to throw a bunch of shit at your body at once. If you're going to start tracking your diet, start with your diet first. Just diet, then add weightlifting.
Right.
Not cardio, weightlifting. Because when your body builds muscle, your calories are used differently. When it's harder on your body to maintain a muscular physique. So if you are weight training and you're really putting your body through that stress, your body's going to put the food that you're eating as fuel versus into your fat stores. So that matters too.
You're so smart.
I'm not really. I just have been fat most of my life, and I've had to do the research to unfat myself.
It worked. You did great. But I don't recall what word it was that you used. Like you're just talking health stuff.
Just now?
Yeah. You used a certain word. I think it started with a G.
I hate this table. I cannot fucking wait until our desks come. Glucose?
No.
Glycogen?
Yes. That was the one. You said that and I was like, oh my God, he's such a sexy health nerd.
So your body produces glycogen from everything that you eat. Actually, your body will produce glycogen on its own. You need it. Your brain needs it. Without glycogen, your brain wouldn't work. The problem is people think that their blood glucose level has to be maintained. Your blood glucose level is a single sugar cube for the entire day. That's all the sugar you need. A single sugar cube for the entire day is enough to keep your entire body functioning with glycogen. The problem is you eat a single slice of bread and it's the equivalent of 8 sugar cubes. Yeah, one bread is 8 times the normal blood sugar for the day. A slice, not a popover, not a burger, not a bun, a single slice of regular white bread is 8 sugar cubes of glycogen.
Okay, so like I can still eat popovers?
I don't know what that breaks down to. But you know what? Obviously, you know the answer to that is no. You're not supposed to eat that kind of shit. It's not good for you.
That makes me so sad.
You also need glycogen to transport. So when you eat anything that creates glycogen, your body creates an insulin spike to deal with that glycogen. So for people who work out, insulin is the most anabolic thing in your body. It makes you grow. So people will have a sugary snack and then a protein shake so that it creates the insulin spike, and then the nutrients are shuttled to their muscles to help recovery. That's the theory. They also call it like the anabolic window. You're supposed to eat within 30 minutes of training or having a protein shake, and then 30 minutes after that, you're supposed to have a meal and all this bullshit. And like, there's no studies proving that that's actually anything other than bro science. So people will weight train, have a protein shake immediately afterwards, shower, and then have a meal. So that's your first 2 meals of the day, or 3 meals if you had breakfast before you trained, assuming you train in the morning. So now you're taking in a huge surplus of your calories first thing in the morning, and then you're having to wind down at the end of the day. Of course, it's going to make you look like you're losing weight because you're eating heavily in the morning, and that's sustaining you all day long. So you're getting most of your calories first thing in the day.
Right.
I don't know. There's a lot to it. A lot of it's bro science. A lot of it is just speculation, and I'm sure there's actual science behind some of this shit, but I don't know.
Kind of sounds like you do.
Yeah.
You know the information that's out there.
I know, yeah. I know what I've been presented. Whether or not any of that is reality or not is neither here nor there. I just know that it works for me. For me, because of the way that I weight train, I need to preface this and say the way that I weight train is like, I'm one of those people that if you ask to work out with me and it's just you and I, knowing that I've been training for 8 or 9 months, I'm going to try to fucking kill you in the gym. You are never going to ask to work out with me again. You're going to be so fucking sore the next week that like I'm going in there with a purpose. And I don't know why I do that, but I am so fucking competitive that every time I train with somebody, I end up getting hurt. It's just the way it is. Like I'm like that.
Yeah.
I'm always been that guy. And I used to own a gym. And like when I owned the gym, I have a whole bunch of stories from when I owned the gym of stupid shit that I did. But at like 25 or 26 years old, I was overhead pressing 135 pound dumbbells. And at one point I came down and the dumbbell didn't want to go up anymore. And I got mad and I threw it through a wall. Like I was stupid, and like realizing what I was doing now, I would injure myself so bad. But in your 20s, you think you're invincible. Do you know what a Toyota Yaris is?
No.
The car? Anyways, you can look it up if you feel the need. When I owned that gym, there is a video somewhere of me with my arm in the front window and my hand in the back window and this car across my shoulders and me squatting it for 6 reps, front and back wheel coming off the ground. Like Sean was there. He witnessed it. When I tell people that shit, they're like, no fucking way. Dude, I was in my 20s. I was a fucking monster when I was younger. So when I say I go to the gym and I go in there and I go hard, like the macros that I ate was consistent with that. And then when I had my motorcycle accident and all that shit changed, the way that I was eating was no longer conducive. And I went from like 260 pounds of muscle to 315 pounds of body fat. And my entire dynamic changed. And then I had to get my body back in shape, and I did. And then that process of getting fat and getting lean and getting fat and getting lean is what started doing it. So for my macros, I always do 2 grams of protein per pound of lean body weight. And I have a scale that reads my lean body mass. So like, it's obviously not accurate because it's not a body dump, but it's one of those in-body scanners. It's like a $400 scale. I have that. So I do 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. I do a half a gram of carbs per pound of lean body weight. And then I do 0.2 grams of fats. And I'll do that one day, and then I'll switch it, and I'll do high fats for 3 days with low carbs, and then I'll switch it for one day, and then I'll do it again. So if I'm doing a half a gram of carbs per pound of body weight, and I'm doing 0.35 of fats, when I switch it, I'll do 0.5 of fats and 0.35 of carbs. And I'll do the low carbs for 3 days and then a high carb day. They call it carb cycling. And there's actually a book by Shelby Starnes that explains all of that and gives you the foods and the breakdowns and things like that. It's a phenomenal book for writing a diet for yourself. So now that we've touched on all of that, I don't have to actually respond to that TikTok guy. I can just be like, hey, it's on the YouTube.
Yeah. Dope.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time.
See ya.